Greetings. Welcome back to the Grumpy Gardener's Medicine Show. Today I'd like to discuss one very, very common herb and one that you probably know but you might not know about growing. And so today's show is all about oregano and its health benefits, and about Roselle, or fruiting hibiscus. Here's a row of Roselle that I put in the garden about a month ago. It's transplanted from 4-inch pots. It's doing well. I should have a crop on here by later this summer, going to early fall. Very adaptable plant, can be grown under a wide variety of different conditions. Roselle is easy to grow. Ordinarily, I start it from seeds. I usually use 6-packs and then transfer it from there into 3 or 4-inch pots, growing it up to a decent size for transplanting it out into the ground. Right here I am holding a Roselle plant. It's in a 3.5-inch pot. I grow these from seeds when I'm cropping them. I have seeds available on my website. The plant is an easy grow. The only problems I believe I ever have with this crop are slugs like to chew the lower stems on the juvenile plants and will girdle the plants on me. So I have to watch out for that. Some kind of mollusk protection collar, piece of tar paper, or baiting for your slugs, or maybe putting little copper barriers around it would help. The plant will grow either in containers or out in the open ground. It's a big plant. It will grow head high and larger here during the season, and so I suggest if you use a container, use a pretty good sized one. Otherwise it's just going to blow over and you'll be watering constantly. 20 gallons, and you might be able to stick maybe a couple of Roselle plants in one 20-gallon lug. Will work out, and that's going to give you plenty of Roselle actually if you pick it frequently. As far as the health benefits of the plant, some of it seems to be very, very well documented, particularly nutrient level. The nutrient level in this crop is really, really high. It's not a lot of, protein or carbohydrate or anything like that, but it's containing large amounts of certain minerals, and particularly calcium. It's very, very good for bones and teeth. And so ladies out there who may be aging and you end up with osteoporosis or, some of these bone loss conditions, I suggest having, some Roselle tea once a day is probably not going to be a bad thing for you. There's also a whole cluster of B vitamins in this thing, which, B vitamins are not that easy to find in plants. And so there's quite a few. Obviously these are required for basic health, but some of us also use them for other things, like neural conditions and so on. So the plant has a very, very nice nutrient list, and something that's worth noting. It's a good addition to the diet just as a food. It has an effect on the heart, though. Particularly, there are some pretty good studies showing that the consumption of this at the right level will reduce blood pressure, which of course for me is something I should be using it every day, right? Well, my problem is I run out of it, is what happens. A note on that too is that the plant appears to be, in Hawaii at least, an annual. It's not a perennial. I had hoped that this was going to be a perennial hibiscus, but it isn't, at least not here. I've read some research indicating that the plant can be a short-lived perennial, but I haven't found that to be true with the 3 varieties I'm raising here on the island. Every one of them comes and goes within the season. You have to start them every year like a tomato plant. So saving seed from your Roselle crop is going to be a very good idea if you're new to this. Yeah, so it's really good for bones and teeth because of the calcium content. The vitamin B content is also extremely useful for us. There's some indication that the vitamin C that's in here and a couple of the other minerals help boost the immune system. stands to reason. It's got a fair vitamin C content in this stuff. There's also some indication that this material will help you breathe better. Now, I've not myself experienced this, despite having used it. Maybe it's because I don't have any real breathing problems much, but it's what it's claimed. The one thing I could not find anywhere in any studies or out there on the web, and it's the primary reason that I grow and use the plant. My friends in Mexico assure me that, like sour cherry juice, that this plant, the juices from it, will help prevent attacks of gout by reducing purine levels in the blood. I couldn't find this anywhere. It's apparently it's kind of a local Mexican herbal medical tradition is where this comes from. It doesn't seem like it's ever hurt me. I can't tell you for sure that it works perfectly, and I haven't, as of yet in my life, begun to consume enough of this plant, I don't think, to make any real difference. If you were planning to use it to alleviate gout, I think you would want to take, at least a good glass of this stuff daily. There are a few different ways you could consume it. I think the most common way, and this is why I say it's a plant that most of you probably know, but you don't know, is that the fruit of this hibiscus is what's used to make red zinger tea. Celestial Seasonings, many years ago, back in the 60s, that was one of their first products, was the red zinger tea. It's where I first ran across this. So that's, I think, in tea would be where most Americans would have run across this. It's a bright red, sort of sour taste, sort of similar to unsweetened cranberry juice. And in fact, in Mexico, this is called Jamaica, spelled Jamaica, after apparently the location that it came to Mexico from. The plant originates in Africa, apparently made its way to Jamaica, and then from there made its way to Mexico. So Mexico calls it Jamaica, and the drink that is made from it is a drink called Jamaica. It looks like cranberry juice. It's basically sweetened and chilled hibiscus tea. You just brew the capsules, or the fruit, seed capsules, in boiling water. They quickly produce something that looks like cranberry juice and actually tastes a lot like it. And then that's taken cooled, mixed with sugar, and then put in the dispensers in the Mexican restaurants with the horchata, the tamarindo, and the Jamaica, the white, brown, red stuff, if you eat in Mexican diners much. That's a pretty tasty way, actually. I mean, I kind of enjoy that, but again, like the cranberry, to drink it cold that way, you have to pile a bunch of sugar into it. And so, it's not the best way to take it, but it's pretty tasty. I'd say that the tea is probably the better way. It can be drunk with no sugar in place. Personally, as a warm drink, I find that's pretty good. Third way that's pretty reasonable is in Florida. This thing's called the Florida cranberry, because the seed capsules, if cooked in a pot with water and sugar, will produce a sauce just like a cranberry sauce. In fact, we had Florida cranberry sauce for Christmas last year here at our house. Found it quite palatable. The only thing I would warn people about is make sure you use the nice young seed capsules. When you're harvesting, there'll be capsules up and down the plant, from little tiny ones that are not open to ones that are blooming, to ones that have just bloomed, and then on down, the ripening to seed. They all eventually turn brown and somewhat woody in the end when they're ripe seed, but somewhere in between there's capsules that had just flowered, say, the previous day or two, and those capsules, if you go out in the morning and just twist them a little, they snap right off in your hands. And you want to be careful to watch out. There's some little barbs on there that you don't want to get stuck on, so be careful how you hold them. You'll learn how to hang on to a Roselle capsule so you don't get barbed. But just go ahead and just give it a snap. That's the right stage. When they snap right off, they're not going to be fibrous. If they're too old, they will still make tea, but they won't make a good sauce because you get strings in the sauce. The capsules can be dried and stored. The easiest way that I found to process them is I put them all on the cutting board. I take a good sized knife, I hold them down like this, I cut the back side of the capsule flat off, and that pulls out the whole seed core, leaving just the fruiting part of the calyx. It's just the piece that comes up above the seed core that is what you want to use for tea. You don't want the seeds in your tea, you want to save them. There's Roselle. I would like to move on to a plant that most Americans consider a spice, and we don't consider this a medicinal herb. This is oregano, Oreganum vulgaris. Now this is termed as Greek oregano, the one I have here. Greek oregano, a little more pungent, has a little bit, I don't know, I like the aroma better than Italian type oregano. There are so many different kinds of oregano. It's really important when you're shopping for your first plant that if you can find a good seed source, you can grow this from seed. Johnny's has Selected Seeds has good seed for Greek oregano. I've used it before from them, and it produces a reliable, good crop. But so many oregano seeds that you buy are actually marjoram. Marjoram and oregano are the same thing, but marjoram is a mild flavored plant, whereas oregano tends to be much spicier. There's also different species in the group. Most of them you'll run across in nurseries like this Greek here are running like this. They have long trailing stems, they make good ground covers. They'll root as they go, so the patch increases over time. And in the wrong spot can become a bit of a problem, but in the right place, it's a blessing. It will cover ground. I'm using it on my bank out here. And take a look where I've used it as a ground cover.
Oregano is a very adaptable plant. Here I'm using it as a ground cover, holding the bank along my driveway, where it's mixed with chives.
My favorite varieties of this plant are the hardest ones to get. The oreganos that come from Crete are the finest on earth. The flavors are the best. The plants are also bush-like instead of being rambling, and so they don't spread themselves very fast at all. The Cretan oreganos are very well behaved. They're also incredibly good. It's confusing though, because there are at least two forms of that plant that come from Crete. Both of them nice, but there's what we call Cretan oregano, which makes an outstanding ornamental and is okay in food, but to me the leaves are very felty, very hairy. So it's good looking, but I don't like hairy leaves. There's also another one that comes from Crete, though, that's officially called Dittany of Crete, and Oreganum ditamnus, I believe, is the Latin for it. And I did have it growing well in my California landscape. I wish I had it here. I don't know how well it would do, but that one is the finest. Dittany of Crete. It's a Cretan oregano that doesn't have the heavy felt on the leaves. Best way I can describe it. Flowers are different than most other oreganos. Beautiful, fairly large, lavender-colored flowers. It's very attractive in bloom. We usually think of this plant as being an herb, and it's true. It's a really, really good herb. I mean, you can't make spaghetti sauce without it. You can't make a pizza sauce without it. Mexico has their own form, Mexican oregano, that is used to season almost every chili or things that are cooked in Mexico. It's particularly good when cooked with meat. The Cretan oregano's one of my favorite hamburger recipes called the Greek burger is a lot of Cretan oregano chopped up with feta cheese and onions and black pepper all pushed into a burger and fried. I like that one. A lot of oregano. You want to have a lot of oregano in there so you can really taste it. Anyhow, the oregano, though, is traditionally in the Mediterranean has been used for gastrointestinal tract problems. And so if your stomach is squeezy, if you're having indigestions, blah blah blah, things like this, eating oregano, taking oregano tea, these are all quite useful. Just plain using oregano in your food, though, is the way I advocate it. Is just chop it up and put it in all kinds of things, because it is an excellent flavor. You can get quite used to it, in fact begin to crave it. And so it's really good in the gut. That's very, very well documented, mostly in folk medicine. I don't know how many actual scientific studies have been done on that, but in Greece and Italy and Crete and places like this along the Mediterranean, they've used this for the GI tract for centuries. So I'm sure it's quite valid. Otherwise, the antimicrobial properties in it are similar to that of thyme, and in fact it contains one of the same chemical oils as thyme. It's very, very strong as far as that's concerned, and they have actually scientifically tested to prove that oregano oils will kill off up to 41 strains of food listerias. These are those nasty bacteria that you hear about on the TV when you have 65 people were poisoned from eating lettuce or whatever that wasn't properly washed. So using oregano in your food obviously is a really good way to deal with food-based listeria problems. So the antimicrobial properties and the properties for the gastrointestinal tract would be the two main things in the medicine cabinet that I would recommend about oregano. But in the garden, it's one of my favorite herbs. It is. It's just you could use it as a ground cover so it becomes functional. There are so many varieties, just like thyme. Collect them all. Keep it handy right near the door so you can run out and grab yourself a mitt full of leaves, chop them up and throw them into stuff. I recommend just using it in the diet daily, oregano. Well, that's about all I got to say. It's raining out here today, and it's going to rain all day. And so I don't believe we'll be doing too much walking around. So, end of story on the Medicine Show today. Aloha. You all have a wonderful day and stay healthy.